Hey everyone, Eric here from EG's Garage, and today I'm going to bring to you a video as to whether or not a classic car can be daily driven. So, you know, these cars are, over 30 years old, and there are obviously pros and cons with driving a classic car. So we'll go through those in just a moment. So here we are inside the Mercedes-Benz 300 SE, my W126. So one of the first things to consider when thinking about driving a classic car on a daily basis is obviously safety. So one of the major advances in car safety over the last 30 years, the advent of the airbag. Now, you could argue that Mercedes-Benz pioneered that. They were available in the later generation S-Class. This car, I believe, just missed out on that. So this is a 1988 or very early 1988, and airbags were available in the second generation W126. I think pretty much from the last part of 1988 and onwards. So this one doesn't have airbags. Clearly, that does give the score down this car, I believe, in terms of not having an airbag. But as you know, Mercedes-Benz have always been very highly regarded in terms of incorporating active safety within their vehicles. So such things as your seatbelt pre-tensioning, that was a big thing in this car. Overall, crumple zone, so the whole shell of the vehicle is pretty much a cocoon for occupants in the unfortunate situation of a head-on collision or anything like that. Going into the hood of the vehicle, I should show you this car does have ABS. This is that thing I've been able to open this. Oh, here we go. Okay, got it. Okay, so this car definitely has ABS. So that's your anti-lock braking system. If you've never seen how that works, it's a pretty amazing system, actually. So obviously, the main deal with that is that it reduces stopping distances and allows the car to be steered during heavy braking. So that was a very good thing in these cars. So so in terms of safety, I think that's definitely something that you want to think about just on a day-to-day basis. You want to make sure that not only are you enjoying the car, but you're also safe as well. Another consideration is wear and tear. Obviously, the more you drive a car, clearly you're going to increase the wear on all the components within a vehicle. So, tires, brakes, all the touch points in your vehicle, seats, everything. Obviously, the more the car is driven, obviously, wear and tear will increase. Now, that's a problem because if you look at the availability, and this depends highly on the vehicle that you daily drive. So daily driving a car like a W126, I would argue that sure, parts are getting harder to get, but a little bit of creativity and just I guess initiative, a bit of hard work, I guess, Google's your friend at the end of the day. So I've bought parts for this car from all over the place. I had, when I first bought this car, as I mentioned in the previous video, you can't see it because it's sort of underneath here, but it wasn't running right, and it needed an EHA valve, and my Indy could get one, but it was like $400-500. I managed to source one for about half that price from Germany. So I think at the end of the day, I think the crux of driving a classic car and the situation of wear and tear is that if you're not prepared to do a little bit of legwork, and if you're relying on a mechanic to do all the work, then I think the overall experience of daily driving a classic will soon sour for you, because it's just going to cost way too much money. Now, one of the arguments that I hear from time to time is, well, obviously it's cheaper to go and just buy a brand new car. Well, the one thing that people don't understand is, depending on which car you buy, so obviously the more a car costs, the higher the depreciation is. So the way I look at driving older cars is what I would lose from depreciation of driving a fancy new car. I forego that in terms of the maintenance cost. So look, this is something that I think it's quite contentious, but if you do your sums and the maths, and at the end of the day, you have to like to drive a classic car, and perhaps forego some of the little luxuries that you get from driving perhaps a brand new vehicle. So another factor to consider in terms of driving a classic car is, of course, the potential loss in the value of said classic car. Now, this is pretty subjective in some way, because if you've bought a vehicle purely for the investment, well, it's probably just going to end up being a garage queen. But as you know, I drive all my cars. I've bought them at a pretty good price. So this particular car here is it has just on 295,000 kilometers. So it's by no means a low mileage garage queen, but it does look obviously very nice, and that's just part of that is just pure enjoyment and maintenance, and just keeping the car looking nice and fresh and clean. So again, be prepared that if you are looking to, if you're purchasing a classic car for the purposes of future appreciation in value, then I would strongly suggest that you probably wouldn't want to daily drive it, because obviously, again, as I've just mentioned regarding wear and tear, you'll end up just the car will probably end up losing value. Another factor would be also practicality. So exactly how practical is it driving a classic car? So from my personal experience, and again, I think it depends really on the type of classic car we're talking about. So, these big S classes, they're fantastic to drive on open roads, but they're probably not so practical in terms of driving, say, into a crowded shopping centre, tight, narrow streets, in heavily populated urban areas. I'm out in a rural area, so at the end of the day, for me, driving these cars around, and I'm a fair way from my work too, so I feel that the S-Class performs those daily duties excellently. They're comfortable, they're fast cars, so they're not slouches by any standard. From perhaps a fuel economy point of view, I mean that's arguable. Is that a word? Let's just say that's contentious perhaps. This car here, the 116, it gets a gas guzzler by any means. So I don't really drive this one much during the week. It pretty much stays in the garage until club runs and just that kind of thing. So I've got the ML55 in the event that it rains or anything like that, and I drive that to the shops or to go and pick up supplies, etc. So from a practicality point of view, again, that's something that you would need to think about if you're commuting into heavily built up urban areas. Think carefully in terms of where you're parking the car, because the last thing you want is mums in SUVs, and little Johnny knocking his door into your expensive classic car, and then having to find someone to fix it, and that's really hard as well. So something to think about. And finally, the other thing that you might want to think about when you're looking to drive a classic car on a daily basis is certainly the enjoyment factor. So you wouldn't buy a classic car if you didn't drive it regularly, and that would be for the enjoyment of it. I'm sure there are people out there that drive old cars purely because they just want to, or they just don't have any yearning to go and spend X amount of dollars buying a brand new car, and then and all of that sort of stuff. So I guess you would want to enjoy driving your classic car, and I certainly do. I love driving these older cars around, and just doing daily stuff, going to work, just doing a little errands here every now and then. So again, think about that. Like if you weren't deriving enjoyment out of driving a classic car, then really it's probably better. You're better off just going and buying one of those small hatchbacks or something to do your daily driving, and then leave your classic to perhaps enjoy on the weekend. So that's another way of looking at it also. So that's it for this video today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to stay updated on our latest content. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and comments below, and see you in the next video.